Kia ora. For those of you that don't know, I just got back from Melbourne a couple days ago, and while I absolutely loved and enjoyed the beautiful sights, the beautiful architecture, the bustling, amazing culture that Melbourne has to offer, I think the thing that I enjoyed the most was all of the bookshops and the amount of variety that I was able to find. As you can see, I've found quite a few books while I was over in Melbourne. Pretty much all of these books were on my list of different books that I was looking for. I kind of went wild and bought as many as I could. So without further ado, this is the Melbourne Book Haul. First of all, I just wanted to start off with Murakami South of the Border, West of the Sun, because I'm already kind of like 2/3 almost of the way through the book. I started reading this over in Melbourne and then read most of it on the plane actually. On the way home. Enjoying it so far. It's interesting. I've heard a lot about Murakami's work, and so yeah, to really kind of dig into the way that he writes is quite interesting, and I'm enjoying it so far. The next two books are sort of philosophy. First one is Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. I read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, and while he did argue against a lot of Nietzsche's points in 12 Rules for Life, I still wanted to read this. I've heard a lot about his work, and thought it would be an interesting read. The next one is Discourses and Selected Writings by Epictetus. I was actually looking for Enchiridion, but I couldn't find it, so I just picked this one up instead. I'm looking forward to digging into Epictetus. I've heard a lot about Epictetus, and I listen to Practical Stoicism, the podcast Practical Stoicism, a lot. I'm interested in really diving into that book. Next up on the agenda is Douglas Adams' The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. I read Hitchhiker's Guide on the way over to Australia. I pretty much finished the whole book on the plane, and I loved it. It's so entertaining, so funny. So I thought, why not get the second book? This was the first book I actually bought while I was in Australia, at the first bookshop that I went to, which was The Hill of Content, if my memory serves me correctly, which it probably doesn't. Next up is Life of Pi. I actually picked this up at the second-hand shop just down the road from where we were staying. I saw lots of different versions of this book in lots of different second-hand shops, but I picked this one up because it was the only one that didn't have the movie cover on it. Very cool book, bit of a classic, I think. Life of Pi. Next one up on the list was the only one that I got that does have the movie cover on it, because it's the only version I found. This was from a second-hand shop as well. Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. Heard lots about this book, and I really wanted to try and find a non-movie cover, but what can you do? Got the book. I'm going to give it a good read when I get around to it. Next up, Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. I know, there's not much I need to say about this book. It's pretty much just classic dystopian. Not much more to say about this book. You've probably read it. I haven't. I'm looking forward to reading it. Next up, This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone. Really looking forward to reading this book. It's actually quite a short one. Heard a lot of good things about it. So yeah, decided to pick it up. Next, again, don't really need to say much about it. Brave New World. You've probably read it. I haven't. Really looking forward to reading it. I absolutely loved 1984. So I'm really getting into dystopians, I think. And it's, looking forward to reading this one. Next, classic sci-fi, Rendezvous with Rama. Again, heard lots of good things about it. Not much more to say. Really like the cover. Look, the pole's getting pretty big, eh? You might not be able to see past it soon. Next up, Ursula K. Le Guin, The Lathe of Heaven. Heard lots of good things. Classic sci-fi. What more can you ask for? By the way, most of these books, I don't really have too much of an idea. I kind of understand what genre they are, and that's about it. And I've just heard lots of good things about them, so I'm planning on reading them. Next up, Flowers for Algernon. Again, what more can I say? A book that delves into the true meaning of happiness, I guess, and whether or not intelligence makes someone happier or more miserable is the kind of general understanding of this book that I have. Again, heard lots of good things. Next up, another one that I actually got from a second-hand shop, is Kafka on the Shore, another Murakami book. The main dude talks to cats. Why not? Ooh, final 3 books. Dan Simmons, Hyperion. One of the greatest sci-fi books ever written, from what I've heard. Again, heard good things. Really looking forward to reading this one. I know it's made up of multiple different stories from the Hyperion universe. Yeah, really looking forward to getting into this book. Earthsea, the first 4 books, another Ursula K. Le Guin. I looked everywhere for A Wizard of Earthsea, which was the only one that I was actually planning on reading, unless I really liked it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Then I found this one, which is the first 4 books, and I was stoked. Then the next bookshop that I went to after picking up this book had A Wizard of Earthsea by itself as a hardcover. So I was a bit disappointed, but at the same time, I picked up the first 4 books, so if I really like it, I don't have to buy any more books. I can read the next 3, and keep going from there. I've heard lots of good things. And last but certainly not least, Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I searched high and low. I looked close and far. I don't even know if that's a thing that people say, but I looked everywhere for this book in Melbourne, and no bookshop had it at all. Not one bookshop had this. And then I went to one bookshop when I got back to Auckland, and they had it, so I picked it up. So this technically isn't part of the Melbourne book haul, but it is part of my Melbourne trip book haul. So it's going in there. Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Space spiders. Why not? I mean, space spiders. Sounds like a good time. Really, really looking forward to reading this book because I've been looking for it for a long time. And then I know what you're saying. Why don't you just order it online? Because that's no fun, okay? Finding a book in a bookshop is 10 times more rewarding than buying something online. Okay? So just calm down. And that, my friends, is the Melbourne book haul. I'm going to have to clear out some space to fit this onto my bookshelf because my bookshelf is already full and I've just added, I've added 16 books to my collection. So I'm going to have to do a bit of clearing out and get rid of some of the books that I'm not going to read straight away. That was the Melbourne book haul. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Just before I go, I know what you're thinking. Where on earth did you get that amazing crochet bucket hat? And all I can say is that I have friends in high places. No, my friend Millie, who I stayed with in Melbourne, Millie and Kieran, shout out to you guys, besties. Millie crocheted this hat for me, and it is amazing. And no, I'm sorry, but you cannot have it. This is my crochet bucket hat. Thanks for watching.